Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi. Now today we're going to take a look at a ship that doesn't get a lot of action in the Star Wars films, but it is quite a key ship, and it's also a great toy, and that is the Rebel transport as seen in Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Now here in front of me we have the Rebel transport that I have had in my collection for, I would say, about 20 years. I remember picking this up from a shop in Acton, and at the time it was just the bare shell. It didn't have any of the bits inside, and over the last 20 years, and I do mean 20 years, I have found all of the bits that were missing for this ship, but I've never actually cleaned it or restored or done anything to it. This is exactly how it came to me when I got it in the shop. So it's still dirty, it's still got marks on it, and today we're going to take a look at it, and I am going to do a very minor restoration on it and try and tidy it up so it looks a little bit better, because really this ship doesn't have a lot that can go wrong on it. It's just pieces that go missing. So if you find one, it's just a job of finding parts. So let's give this a clean and we'll take a look at it and see what does need fixing. As I say, this is a pretty basic toy. It's just really a shell of a ship with a few components on the inside. There's no electronics, there's nothing really that can get broken. A few of the bits of plastic do get broken over the years, but really it's a pretty sturdy ship. So first up, we can just take off the front panel here and you can see the pilots inside. Now this panel, again, as I said, this hasn't actually been touched by me really for 20 years. It's just exactly how I got it out of the shop. So you can see it's pretty dirty. There's a lot of marks on here, sort of sticky marks. So really I'm going to have to give this whole ship a good wash, and some of this will come off with hot soapy water, I'd have thought, and some of it will come off with a bit of lighter fluid. Now because this does have all the stickers on it, and the stickers are actually in pretty good condition, I'm not going to submerge this in water. I'm just going to use a toothbrush or an old toothbrush just to gently brush off the dirt and then dry it quite quickly so that the stickers don't get damaged. The rest of the ship, if we have a look, I'll turn it around so we can see the back section again. We have this back panel which comes off. Now this is one area where I'm missing a few stickers. As you can see here, I'm missing one of the engine stickers. Most of the stickers are not too bad on the ship, but there's the odd one missing, so I will do some replacements for these, because I think it looks a little bit odd just having that one missing when all the rest are there. Then we get into the back section where you have the sort of gunner chair. When I first picked this up, this bit was missing, but it's actually a relatively easy bit to find. It unclips, so we can just sort of take that out, and it comes in a few component parts. You have the main sort of seat section and then these separate rotating guns, and these do detach. So again, it's just a case of finding all of these pieces, and I don't remember these actually being particularly hard to find. I didn't think they took me that long to get. Now we can get into the main part of the ship, and of course this large section on top is actually a holding handle, so you can carry the ship out, but also it's an unlocking mechanism, so you just have to twist it and it unlocks, and then you can unclip the front and take this whole top section off. Again, this is in not too bad condition. It's pretty dirty, and I'm amazed that I never actually bothered to clean it at the time I got it. I think I just did stick it into my display and never really touched it. So again, I'm going to clean this with some hot soapy water and a toothbrush to get all of the sort of the dirty bits out, and then maybe a bit of lighter fluid, because there are a few sort of scuff marks on it, especially around this nose section where it's obviously been bashed into the wall a few times. But mostly it's just sort of dust and grime from, you know, 20 or 30 years of being on display and not really played with. Inside the body of the ship you have the main sort of hold where you can hold figures, and this is where I had at one point decided I was going to start a rebel army. Obviously you've seen my Imperial army that I've done videos of before, and at one point I was thinking I could do a Hoth army, because I do really quite like the Hoth characters, so this was where I was storing them. As you can see, I don't have that many of them, but it was a good starting point. Now this inner carry case does have a few stickers on it. I'm not sure if these have actually been put in the right place, because they do look at sort of a little bit of sort of odd positioning there, and quite a few of them have come off over the years, but I do have them because they just sort of fell off inside. So again, we're going to clean this up, and I will see about replacing these stickers, and because I have some of these I can stick these back in place, and any that are missing I will make some new versions of. But really it's just a little bit dirty, so we'll get that cleaned as well. Cleaning this bottom section is actually more tricky than you would imagine, because this cardboard insert has actually been riveted in place. You can see here there are a few rivets to hold this into the bottom of the ship. So there's no way of taking it out without damaging the cardboard, so I don't really want to do that. So I'm just going to have to clean gently around this and make sure I don't get it wet at all. Now, when I said that it had taken me 20 years to finish finding all of the parts for the ship, the hardest part to find is actually this little trapdoor that you see in the bottom of the ship. This, for some reason, is incredibly hard to find, and I only found that within the last year. I was lucky enough to buy a job lot of mini rigs, and I picked the job lot up just because I'd seen this in the background. I don't think anyone else had. Normally this can set you back sort of 20 to 30 pounds, this little panel, just because it's so rare, but it is a key component for the bottom of the ship. Now the cockpit section you can remove, you just have to sort of unclip it, and if we open that up you'll see, oh actually I didn't know those are in there, there's a whole load of Hoth survival pack bits hiding in the bottom of that. But to remove this panel, open up that flap there, turn the ship over, and then on the bottom there are two clips, as you can see here, and you just need a knife or something just to gently prise those clips back, and then you can push them through. If you pull on the other side of the ship, it will, there you go, just come out like that, and that's the main sort of cockpit internal bit taken out again, so we can wash that separately. The stickers are in reasonable condition, so I will work around those. I don't want to replace stickers unnecessarily, but so just a bit of a clean, and that should look quite nice. The rear panel comes out the same way. You can just sort of unclip it, and then again there are two clips sort of at the bottom side, same as the front cockpit section. So again, if I've got a knife here, I can just work that through and push that little bit out. Sometimes you're lucky and you'll find weapons and stuff hidden in underneath these back panels, so it's actually worth having a look at them just to see if a weapon has got hidden there over the years. There we go, that's that back panel out, so we can clean that. And here we have the ship all in its component parts. Now a few people have asked me whether it's possible to remove the black tower on the top of this Rebel transport, and I have to say the answer is probably no. The plastic of this ship is fairly brittle, and the way that tower is fitted is you push it through a sort of an area of crimps that can only go one way, so more likely than not you will end up damaging the top of the ship. Now I have seen a few of these where that black tower bit is broken, so I've yet to work out a good way of removing that so you can swap it out. It may be a case of actually having to cut the tower sort of in the middle so that you can take the top section out and the bottom section out and then attaching them back together, but at the moment I would say I haven't found a good way of doing it, and I've yet to actually have one that's broken that I've wanted to sort of fix. So at some point, if I can find another of these Rebel transports with that section broken, I'll do a bit more work on it, but as mine isn't broken, I don't really want to take it apart just to see if I can fix it. So for now I would say no, just leave it as is. So let's go ahead and we'll give this a good clean in some hot soapy water, and then we can start tidying up the rest of it. Washing the ship this way does take a lot longer than just washing it by dunking it straight under the water, but it's the only way to make sure that you don't damage the stickers, and when the stickers are in this good condition it's a shame to ruin them by doing that. So washing the ship took me just over 20 minutes to get it all clean, and I didn't damage any of the stickers in that process, and I managed to keep the card nice and dry as well. There are a few little bits of water that splashed onto it, but not enough to cause any problems, so as long as I dry this out fully there's not going to be any issue with these stickers or the cardboard insert. There are a few sections that didn't clean up particularly well with just soap and water, especially where this main sort of latch holds the top part of the ship onto the bottom part. You can see where the plastic has rubbed over the years, and you've got little bits of sort of black residue left on the edges. Now we should be able to remove that just by using some lighter fluid. I have a bottle of lighter fluid here and a kitchen towel, and I'm just going to liberally put the lighter fluid onto that, and if you see I can rub where the plastic is marked, and if you keep rubbing that for a few minutes you'll be able to see that the plastic sort of scratch marks are starting to come off. Now this will take a sort of 10 minutes worth of rubbing like this, and maybe scratching a bit with just a fingernail just to loosen it up, but we should be able to get all of that off. So I'm just going to clean this up and we get on with the rest of this restoration. And here we go, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it, but it's an awful lot better. Most of the marks have come off it, so it's looking pretty good there. I'm sure if I did a little bit more rubbing away, maybe even used a knife just to gently sort of chip off some of the plastic residue, it would have come off more, but I think I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Before I sort out making the replacement stickers, I think we can go ahead and start putting this ship back together, because the bulk of it is all done and clean. So I'm just going to slot in the front cockpit section, and again this is just the reverse of how I removed it. There's two clips at the bottom here that just have to clip in place in the two slots on the bottom of the ship. Should be fairly straightforward just to push those in. Yep, they've already gone in, and then it clips in at the front there. And likewise we can do the back of the ship if I just rotate my camera around. Again, this is exactly the same. There's just two clips here that clip onto these little clips holes on the bottom of the ship, so we can clip those in place like so, and then that just bends in, and there we go, that's the back section in. The rear gunner section of the transport consists of 5 pieces. You have the main chair, which has a little sort of control panel sticker on the front of it. You have 2 gun mounts, which are like this here, and then the 2 guns themselves. Now, the gun mounts need to go on a certain way around. They have a slight angled piece in the middle, and that needs to face sort of towards the back of the chair, and these just sort of clip in. You have to be a little bit sort of forceful pushing them in, but they do clip in, and then the top section rotates around. Do the same on this other side. So just see if we can clip that in place like so. And then the guns need to be up this way, so with this little bit, it sort of looks like a gun sight, but it's actually supposed to be on the bottom, so we just clip that in like so, and do the same on the other side. And then these can all rotate around quite nicely, and we can slot this into the back of the ship. And again, slotting this in is pretty easy. There's just a little hole on the sort of midsection of the plate here, and that slots over the little peg on the back. You just sort of have to push that down, and the gunner chair fits in quite snugly. Next up we have the piece that took me the longest to find, the little cargo sort of secret hatch that goes on the bottom, this sort of escape hatch. Now this again just clips in one way. You can see you've got a hinge on one end of it and a little tab that sort of locks in place at the other end. So the hinge section goes towards the front of the ship, and we just clip that on like so, and then you can push that up and it locks in place. It doesn't lock particularly firmly, it's actually pretty easy to sort of push open, but that's how it was originally. Now I was pretty lucky with my Rebel transport when I picked it up all those years ago, and it was just missing one sticker, and over the years a couple have come loose. You can see here the sort of jail section stickers that go on the inside of the sort of main cargo hold have come loose. There are others on here that have been fitted quite badly, but to be honest I don't actually mind those. I like the fact that they're sort of a little bit off centre. It just shows that the child did them. So I need to re-stick these, which is a fairly easy process. And on the back of the ship I'm missing one of the little engine stickers. As you can see here, there should be 4, and one of them has been ripped off over the years. So I went online, I managed to find a reasonable scan of the sticker sheet. It wasn't quite up to the standards that I like, so I've spent some time in Photoshop tidying up the stickers, making them look a little bit nice and a little bit crisp, and also making it a lot easier for working out where you're supposed to cut, because a lot of these scans you can't really see where the edge is supposed to be. So what I've done is I've added a second sort of outline to it, so it's much easier to see what you need to cut. And the end result is this here. This is a freshly printed out sheet of the stickers. I didn't really need to print them all out, but I thought I would just so I could show you what they look like. Now these have been printed on a glossy sticky back paper. It's a fairly close sort of match to the original. The originals are slightly shiny, as you can see here. This possibly is a little bit too shiny, but I thought it would do the job. And in this instance I'm only replacing one of the stickers, which is this one here, but if you're doing your own you might need to have all of these. I'll put this file available on toy-polloi.com, so you can go and download that for free to use it in your restoration. So let's go ahead and we'll re-stick these missing couple of stickers, and I'll cut out this little one here, and we'll stick that on the back there, and hopefully that should look pretty nice. Before I go about adding this missing sticker, I need to remove this last little bit of residue that's on there. So I'm just going to use some lighter fluid and soak that into the old bit of paper, and give it a few minutes and let that soak in, and then I'm going to use a knife to carefully scrape that off. It does take a little while to soak in, especially on these old stickers. This one seems pretty firmly in place, so just going to keep soaking that until it's loose, and then I can put the new sticker on. And here we have the 2 stickers that fell off. Now, as I say, I quite like the fact these are put on sort of a bit haphazard. I could, if I wanted to, remove these and flatten them and put them on a bit nicer, but I do think it adds a little bit of charm to this quite old toy. So really all I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 stickers, and I'm going to use some Pritt stick just to glue them back in place, and that should work quite nicely. The stickers themselves are in actually quite good condition. They've just fallen off because the glue has dried out over the years, and nothing else seems to be much wrong with them. I liberally put Pritt stick on. I can now go ahead and stick these back in place on the sides. That's the first one. I'll just do the second one and then that's all of those back. And here we have my Rebel transport all back together and clean and working again. This just shows you that sometimes restorations don't need to be big sort of complicated projects. Something like this is a very easy ship to fix. There's nothing really that breaks on it. It's really just a case of searching out and finding parts. And more often than not, these are pretty easy to find. The escape hatch sort of thing on the bottom is the worst bit to find. It did take me a very long time to find it, but the rest of the ship is actually a pretty easy one to find. And it's a nice ship to have on display. It's got a lot of nice little features. The fact you can open things up and see what's going on inside is always a nice element. And now I've put all the stickers back on this, it's looking really nice and will go back on display here at toy-polloi. So I hope that's all been of interest for you, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter and Facebook.